Okay, not too long ago, I showed you all how to make a focaccia bread with a roast. There's the train again from Rustic. Seems like every time we start to tape something, the train comes through. I showed you how to make a focaccia bread. We covered it with roasted garlic and sea salt. It was fabulous. We also had fresh, bright, popping marinara that I had stuck on the back of the stove and simmered away, and we turned that focaccia into breadsticks. Well, that made the kids want pizza. So we're going to make pizza. All I have in here is about 2 teaspoons of yeast. And if you want to, just use 1 packet. I buy it in bulk, so I measure it out. But you can just put a packet from the grocery store. About a cup of warm water. And I'm going to give this about half a tablespoon, so a teaspoon and a half of just sugar. That's to give the yeast something to eat. Now, in a minute, I'm going to have to get you to give me back my water. But what we're going to do is use almost exactly what we did with the focaccia. The difference is we're not going to use quite as much yeast. We're not going to let it rise the same, and we're actually going to press it or roll it out. Now, if you happen to be one of those people that can manage doing the whole pizza toss thing, okay, knock yourself out. If I try to do that, mine look like amoebas. Do you remember when we grilled the pizza amoebas? Pizza amoebas. All right, so I'm starting with about 3 cups of just plain all-purpose flour. If you want to, you can use, a little bit of bread flour. You can use part or all whole wheat, and it's yummy. I just happen to have this. And all we're going to do is let this come together. And then, Ducky, can you hand me my measuring cup? All right, now, our goal, just like with the focaccia, is to put about 5 cups of flour in here total. Now, flour is cranky. It depends on the weather for how much water it needs or will absorb at any given time. And it's remarkable how much that can change. So you don't know how much water exactly. We started with a cup, about another tablespoon, and I will probably add a good 1/4 to a half a cup of olive oil. That's our final difference between what I like for the focaccia and what I like for the pizza dough. Now listen, it's your pizza. You do it the way you like it. As long as the chemistry works, as long as the yeast is fed, as long as it's not icy cold, you can add whatever flavors you like. If you want a more tender dough, you can stick an egg in it. We like to actually roll it out so it's a little thinner and crispier. And one of these days, I'll show you all how to take this exact same thing and make some of the best yummy, crispy, salty crackers you've ever had. And it's exactly the same thing. You take the same few ingredients, and how you manipulate them depends on what you get. Okay, so now we're getting everything absorbed in there. That last bit of water, and then any other liquid that this might need, I'm going to continue using the olive oil. All right, now I'm going to let my mixer work for, I don't know, a couple of minutes. While can you come in here? Look, can you see? Now, as that stuff continues to be kneaded together, and if you want to do this by hand, knock yourself out. As it continues to knead together by that dough hook, then it will begin to pull away from the sides, and it will become this nice, elastic, lovely thing. Oh, see, I may not add anything else to it. See, a minute ago it looked like it couldn't take up any more flour, and now it's just about looking exactly, yeah, that's it. Look. Let me show you. This is how you want to work. Now, this one needs to knead for a little bit longer, but you see how that's getting nice and elastic? And it's a little bit sticky, but not terribly so. I might put just a touch more. Got another tablespoon of olive oil in there. Oh, perfect. All right, so at this stage, all we're gonna do is let that last little bit of olive oil work its way through into the dough. And then, if I don't choke, then I'm gonna throw a towel over it, and I'm gonna throw it back here in the corner and let it just sit. The dough will relax a little bit, the flour has a better chance to absorb all the moisture, and the yeast has a chance to do its thing, which is to eat the sugar and produce gas, which makes it rise. All that in mere moments. There's something about bread dough rising that I find endlessly fascinating. Like that. Look. When they talk about dough doubling in size, that always confused me, and I always wanted to measure it out and see what they meant, but that's all they meant. So we've let our pizza dough rise, and then I just punched it down, okay? And you know what? It smells fabulous. Just a little bit yeasty. It smells like pizza. It smells like almost pizza. Okay, so now if you want to, and you're handy, and you're not the world's biggest klutz, you can go ahead and do the hand toss thing. Except that doesn't work for me. I really don't do well with that. I actually, not only do I not do well, the children have often refused to eat it if I'm trying to do that. I mean, I get long skinny shapes, and I get, we call them pizza amoebas when I try to pull that. So all I'm doing here is putting a little flour out on my counter, and I'm rolling this out kind of thin. See, even with a rolling pin, I can't get it round. It doesn't really matter. So I rolled it, nice and thin, because we like that thin, crispy crust. If you want to, leave it a bit thicker, or once you've rolled it, let it rise some more, because it'll puff back up. And then you have a thicker crust. All right, I do have an extremely hot oven, 450 degrees, and this is a baking sheet. Now, one of the hallmarks of really good pizza is those ovens that have the pizza stones and it gets rocking hot and stays hot. Well, I can't do that, but what I can do is stick a couple of brick pavers in the bottom of my oven, and that's what will allow me to maintain the heat that I'm looking for. Now, we've talked about that in some of my bread dough videos, and I just keep them in there all the time. I like how it maintains the heat, period. All right, look, here's my little baby pizza. You can make it as big or as small as you want. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Claim that it's rustic, and you're good to go, no matter what it looks like. All right, so we've been playing with marinara sauce recently. And a couple videos ago, I showed you how to use almost the identical dough and this very same marinara to do really yummy breadsticks with a marinara dipping sauce. So we're repurposing again. This is why we make marinara in such large batches, because you can use it for so many things. Okay, so just a little bit. Because that's a real thin dough and we want it to cook through very quickly, you don't want to overload it. Now, you can put anything you want to on here. This is just mozzarella. Now, if you have access to really good rockin' fresh mozzarella that comes in little balls and it's packed with the liquid, use that by all means. It's a little hard to find where I am, and it does bust my budget. So this is just simple plain mozzarella. And because these ingredients are so simple, you really want to keep it easy. It's good mozzarella. It's not fabulous mozzarella. Okay, so a 450 degree oven. We're going to slide this in here. No, you're not looking at the inside of my oven. I didn't clean it this morning. You're not looking at it. So that's what I'm going to do in a minute when the camera's off. And it's only going to take a few minutes. I'd say this one right here will be somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes. If you wanted to, you could have stuck sausage or pepperoni or mushrooms or anything you want, but we're keeping this one simple. So turn off the camera, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out on the other side. It's hot in here. Okay, we gave it about 7 minutes, I'd say. I guess. I don't know. I didn't set the timer. But what we do have is this little baby. It's a baby pizza. All right, it's not quite correct as far as a pizza margarita goes. Hang on, I'm transferring. Just because we didn't have all the wonderful, fresh, fabulous things that goes into that. Now, if you have access to those things, then by all means use it. But all we're gonna do at this point is take a little fresh basil, tear it up at the last minute, over the top. Little baby pizza. Now, let me tell you about the coolest thing about this. Our pizza dough, which we made in a pretty good volume. See, we've got tons left. And I'm about to knock out about half of that and make some pizzas for all the kids. This whole pot was less than $4, right? We made our pizza dough for pennies. I probably put about a nickel's worth of mozzarella cheese on it. And I'm going, give myself a nickel's worth of basil. So not only do you have almost nothing in it, it's gonna be delicious. On top of that, the pizza dough that you don't use, you can stash that in the fridge, and over a few days, if your kid comes in and wants to pull off a ball, roll it out, and 10 minutes later have pizza, you got pizza. Okay, so I'm gonna burn my mouth just for your sake, because I have to show you how wonderful this is. Actually, oh look, I made a little cute piece. See, nice and gooey and hot. I can't believe there's not a kid behind me already. Yeah, you know when it's worth burning your mouth the first time and then you immediately want another bite no matter how much it hurt? Homemade pizza.